All right, guys, it's Spirit Week, and today is Wacky Wednesday, and I think I've lost my mind because we're going to start with the independent practice today. Now, if we look at the independent practice, it's asking us to identify each sentence as an example of a hyperbole or not an example of a hyperbole. So, I'm going to help you with question number 1, and it's your job to do questions number 2 through 7 on your own. Number 1 says, I ate a whole plate of food on my own. That is not a hyperbole. That's not really a big deal. It's not exaggerated. Many of us can eat a whole plate of food on our own. So that's not even an exaggeration at all. So when we have to answer these questions, we're thinking about whether or not it's a big deal or if it's something normal. Question number 2, I have a million things I have to do. When we're thinking about a million, I can't even count to a million, so it has to be an exaggeration. I have a million things to do. That is a hyperbole, but I'm not going to write it in. You're going to write it in because we do the independent practice on our own. All right, with that being said, let's go in reverse to the passage, the we do section of our learning. Now, at this point in class, we already know what a hyperbole is, and we already know what a personification is. So, when we read through the sentences, we should be able to fill in the blanks with our word bank. And just like that, movie magic, our work is done for us. I told you today was Wacky Wednesday. So, the first sentence is asking us to fill in the blank. It's already done. The car complained as the key was roughly turned in its ignition. Can a car complain? Nope. That is a personification. It's taking on human characteristics. Number 2, the approaching car's headlights winked at me. Can a car wink? Not unless you're one of those cute little cars with the eyelashes. All right, next sentence. The moon smiled at the stars in the sky. Only people can smile. Maybe even a pet or two. But we know the moon can't smile. That is a personification. Next sentence. The moon turned over to face the day. Again, personification. It is giving the moon characteristics of a human. Next sentence. The city never sleeps. I've heard that before. Now, what they mean is the city is always going. There's always cars outside. There's always people moving around. But it sounds like the city can actually take a nap and go to sleep. Well, that's a personification. Next, we have Winter's icy grip squeezed his rib cage. Again, personification. The wind whispered the rumors of the forest. Well, that's just saying that the wind can actually tell you what happened in the forest. Well, we know that's a personification because it can't actually happen. Now, since we're done with the we do, we got to go back to the I do, which is the model. And the bore equals. All right, so we already know all of this. So we can just press pause, and when we come back, all the answers will be there for you. All right, movie magic. The answers are right there for you. So, writers use figurative language to make stories more exciting and fun to read. Figurative language is when words are used to give different meaning than its literal meaning. There are 6 types of figurative language. Today we're going to talk about personification and hyperbole. A personification is when the author gives Human traits to non-living objects. Here are several examples. The alarm clock danced along the desk as it rang 5 times. The sun waved goodbye on the setting horizon. The teapot sang a happy tune at the hot water as the hot water was ready. Let's change that up. The wind hit me in the face as I walked outside. When we're talking about personifications, a great reader always asks the same 2 questions. What is the object, and what are the human traits given? So we have to keep that in mind when we're talking about personification. Let's keep it moving on to hyperbole. Hyperboles are exaggerations or overstatements that the author uses to create forceful imagery or to make a strong point. The author is trying to make you understand by giving you a super exaggerated exaggeration. Number 1, Dakota was so hungry she could eat a horse. Probably wouldn't happen because horses are huge. So the author wrote it out that way so you can totally understand that she was so hungry. Next, Ashley called me a million times last night asking me for help. She probably called a lot of times, I'll give her that, but Ashley did not call a million times. That would take forever. So the author wanted you to understand that she called a lot of times. Now, next we have Deshaun died laughing when he saw Mr. Albert trying to do the D-Lo shuffle. Did Deshaun die? No, he didn't. But he probably laughed so hard that he felt like he wanted to die. So this is a super large exaggeration that forces you to understand that Deshaun thought that this was definitely funny. So since we're done, we're going to go in reverse and move it all the way to the vocabulary. Now, today's vocabulary is all about word work. We will be working on prefixes, suffixes, and root words. Now, a prefix is an affix that's placed at the beginning of another word. A root word is a word that does not have a prefix or a suffix added. Now, today we're going to add on the 2 words in and appropriate. In and appropriate. So, to start out, in is the prefix. Appropriate is the root word. Now, to define in. As a prefix, in means not. So we can write that right there real big. And appropriate means proper or the right thing to do. So if we combine both words, not and proper, we know that defines the word inappropriate. So we know that inappropriate means not proper. That means it's not right. It's just unacceptable. So that can be our synonym. Our antonym can be acceptable. Now, if we were to use the word inappropriate in a sentence, Miss Samaria would say that the boy was inappropriate when he yelled out in the silent library. Now we have to make sure that we correct all mistakes. When he yelled out, and our keyword here is inappropriate, so we have to underline that. What sentence would you think of? All right, let's keep it moving. We have a photograph, an illustration of a little boy that's being inappropriate. How can we tell that he's being inappropriate? Is he acting proper? Is he doing the right thing? Is he doing what's acceptable or unacceptable? All right, so as I look at the picture, I can say the boy is being inappropriate by yelling at his mother really loud. He is not behaving in an acceptable manner. All right, so since we're going in reverse, it is time for our PDN. Now, we know we do our PDNs on our own without question, so I want you to press pause because we're almost done with our lesson. When you get your answers, press play so we can check our answers together. Okay, so I'm back. I'm wacky. I answer my questions. Let's check them over. The first passage is entitled Kim's Math Test. Kim is in 5th grade and her math teacher's name is Miss Smith. Miss Smith is a drill sergeant in math class. She is very strict. Kim had a big math test this morning. She studied hard and thought it was a piece of cake. Afterwards, Miss Smith told her she did a good job. What type of figurative language is being used in the passage? So I highlighted my text to support my answer, and my answer was a metaphor. Now, let's go back to the text and see if they really are metaphors. Miss Smith is a drill sergeant in math class. We're comparing Miss Smith being really strict to an actual drill sergeant. Yes, it's a metaphor. She studied hard and thought it was a piece of cake. Again, a metaphor. We're actually comparing the test to a piece of cake, which means that it was easy. She didn't even have to bother. Next passage, love poems. The whole class is writing love poems today. Some of the kids have thought of good lines, but some of the kids are just goofing off. Tim wrote, "She is the apple of my eye." Morgan wrote, "He is my knight in shining armor." Bill just wrote, "This is cool." Bill had to rewrite his poem. Now, what type of figurative language is being used in the passage? I highlighted my evidence to support my answer. You should do the same. She is the apple of my eye. We're comparing the girl to the apple of his eye. That means that she's awesome. She's the best. And next we have, he is my knight in shining armor. Oh, these are both metaphors. Now, I do want you to take some time to go back and finish the independent practice if you did not earlier in class. And I want you to make sure that you're finishing the exit ticket. So, bye. Have a wacky, wacky Wednesday.